You can think of your business kind of like a high-performance rowing crew. To win the race, raw effort just isn't enough. You need a system, right? A rhythm where every single oar hits the water in perfect sync. But what happens when it feels like the captain is the only one rowing? For so many CEOs of growing companies, this isn't just some vague feeling. It's your daily reality. You're the engine, you're the navigator, and you're the entire support crew, all rolled into one. And let's be honest, that is an absolutely unsustainable way to run a business, let alone a life. So that brings us to what's really going on here. We call it the CEO bottleneck. And this isn't some theoretical business school problem. This is the pressure you're probably feeling every single day. And just understanding it, really seeing it for what it is, that's the crucial first step. And what's wild is how universal this feeling is. You're just trapped in this constant cycle of daily fighting. You're always getting pulled back into the weeds, the operational details you thought you'd moved past ages ago. You know you should delegate, but there's that nagging feeling, that lack of trust that things will be done right without you. And a result? Well, it's chronic exhaustion and a bottleneck that sits right in your chair. And this is where it gets really personal. It's not just about being frustrated. It's that gut-wrenching sense that the business you worked so hard to create now owns you. And what's worse, there's often this high shame factor that comes with it. This quiet belief that somehow it's your fault, a personal failing. But I need you to hear this. It is not. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. What you're experiencing personally, those are actually just symptoms of a much bigger systemic issue. That pain you feel, that's a sign, a really clear sign that your company is outgrowing its own operating model. These are what we call the silent killers of growth. First up, there's strategic drift. You know the feeling. Everyone is busy, calendars are packed, but you're not actually making meaningful progress on what matters. Then there's the manager gap. This is that painful moment when you realize you don't actually have a leadership team. You just have a group of individual managers who bounce every single hard decision right back to you. And finally, system friction. All the simple things are suddenly hard because the processes that worked for 10 people are now buckling under the weight of 100. And here is the big aha moment. These are not separate fires that you need to put out. They are all interconnected symptoms of one single core issue. You haven't failed. Your operating model has simply reached its expiration date. And recognizing that, that's the real first step to actually fixing it. So if the problem is a broken system, what's the solution? Well, once you diagnose the problem correctly, you can install the right fix. Not another Band-Aid, not another patch, but a true upgrade to your company's engine. This is where a really structured approach like the OptimizeNow bootcamp comes into play. It's designed to be a practical, hands-on reset for management teams that are under real pressure. Look, the idea isn't about more theory, it's about installing a proven execution system that's actually engineered for the realities of a growing company like yours. Now, the core of a system like this is something called a two-loop execution engine. Just think of it like the gearbox that connects your big picture strategy to the day-to-day, week-to-week actions your team takes. It creates this durable, predictable rhythm for the business, so you can finally move from here's what we want to do to here's what we are actually doing this week. And here's how a system like this generally works. It's actually pretty simple. In Loop 1, it's all about alignment. You get crystal clear on your quarterly direction, and you translate that into a tiny number of truly high-impact commitments. Then, in Loop 2, you install a really powerful weekly execution rhythm. This is what keeps the entire team coordinated, accountable, and moving forward, getting all those oars in the water at the same time every single week. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, yeah, I've tried things like this before, retreats, consultants, and the results just didn't stick. So it's really important to understand what makes a system-based approach like this fundamentally different. So let's just compare the approaches for a second. On one hand, you've got traditional retreats. They often focus on ideas in a vacuum. And consultants, they might just deliver a bunch of analysis that, frankly, makes you dependent on them. A bootcamp-style approach is different. It's all about execution in context, using your real, live business challenges. The goal isn't to give you more reports. It's to drive decision velocity and build your team's independence, so you don't need to rely on outside help long-term. So here's what makes a practical implementation so effective. First, it has to be fast. You should see real, meaningful results in a matter of weeks. A virtual design is key to minimize disruption. It's got to be a hands-on transformation where your team is making real decisions on real constraints. And it absolutely has to have a fixed price. No retainers, no consulting. But what about the time commitment? I know your leaders are already swamped. Well, this is key. The total time investment for a program like this is typically under 20 hours. Total for each leader. Over 12 weeks. That's it. And most teams find they gain that time back almost immediately, just from less rework and fewer stalled meetings. And this might be the best part. There's no homework. The work you do in a system like this is the actual critical work of running your business. It's not about adding another project to your plate. It's about giving you a much, much better way to clear it. Okay, so this all sounds good in theory, right? But it has to translate into real, tangible results. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is the outcome for leaders and for their teams. Take a leader like Matt, for example. After installing this kind of system, he didn't just double his company's profits. He achieved something way more valuable. He finally took a guilt-free vacation because he could actually trust that the business would run without him. I mean, that's a powerful combination of business and personal freedom.
Or think about Edgar. His big challenge was executive drag and just slow, painful decision-making. This system helped him completely eliminate that friction, unlocking a level of coordination and sales velocity that his team had been chasing for years. These aren't just feel-good stories. They're fundamental business transformations.
So what's the path forward for you? It's really about making a conscious shift, a shift from being the operational bottleneck to becoming the strategic leader your company truly needs you to be. The choice is pretty clear, isn't it? If you recognize that your business has outgrown its current operating model, then you already know that just continuing with the status quo, it's not an option. It's time to install a system that's built for your next stage of growth. If this sounds like the shift you're ready to make, then let's have a direct, straightforward conversation. The purpose of an initial call is super simple, to see if this is a fit. There's no pressure, no obligation. We'll be totally honest. If we don't think we can help, we'll be the first ones to tell you. You can schedule a call at the link right there on your screen. Let's just end with the promise that answers that very first question we asked. The goal here is an operating system for your business that runs and even thrives when you finally give yourself permission to step back. What would that freedom mean for you?